Yo, it's Frugal Freddy here. Welcome to Dollars and Cents. Make sure you like and subscribe to get the latest episode of the podcast. This is part 3 of the Fatherhood and Legacy series. And for part 3, I have my bro, Brent Sigley.
What's going on, brother?
What's up, man?
Good to see you, man.
I appreciate you being here, man.
It's an honor, bro.
I know it's been a journey.
It's been a journey. Yes, it has.
It's been a journey.
It has been a journey.
Before we dive in, can you let the people know who Brent is all about, what you're involved in, and all those good things?
Yeah, so I actually am a consultant. I have my own consulting agency called Sigley and Associates Consulting. I also have a business called the Alliance Resource Circle, which you've been honored and blessed to have you be a part of. Just trying to connect people and build wonderful brands, connecting men and being able to grow and break out of these silos that men often live in, and allowing us to be able to connect with each other as fathers, as men, as husbands, and really just being able to grow. That's the most important part. So that's a big part of what I do and what I'm about.
That's dope. And I love the Alliance Resource Circle, man.
My God.
Hopefully I become a member or an official member or a board member or something.
There we go. Hey, there we go. That's a great idea, actually.
Hey, I'm just putting it out there in the atmosphere.
Hey, there we go. Let's speak it into existence.
Yeah, man, I love what you guys do. And I know a little bit of your story. How was your upbringing? And in that upbringing, did that shape your view on fatherhood?
Oh, very much so. So growing up, I grew up in Canton, Ohio, Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
Representing, obviously, you being from the land. I grew up without a father being present in my life. For the most part, he was in and out of prison. When he was out of prison, just witnessed a lot of abuse. And I even used to have a really bad stuttering problem as a child. I remember stuttering, having to go to counselors and therapists. And for me, I knew that he really gave me the blueprint of what I didn't want to be. So having the opportunity to be a father for me was molded and shaped by the absence of mine, and being able to say, I want to make sure that I can give my children everything that I didn't have.
Wow. Yeah. And you made it through it, and you're a very successful man in this world. So that's awesome.
I appreciate you.
That is awesome. So with that, I know that you're a girl dad to 2 beautiful girls.
My God.
So how has it been, given your experience, your upbringing, with your father not being there, in and out, having that relationship with your mom, how has that experience, not having your father, to now being a girl dad, how has that been for you?
It's really been quite incredible. As a girl dad, I don't know what it's like to be anything other than that. So for me, speaking to all of my brothers who have boys and girls, there's always one common theme, and they always say that there's always more of a protection of their girls than their boys. And not that they don't care about their boys, but this protector mode, it just every day, every second, unfortunately, in the times that we live in, where you hear so many horrendous things happening to kids, and it's allowed me just to really grow into my role of just protector, and allowing me just to really just have a softer side. It's a lot more patience.
That's real.
That, even before they came into this world, that I'm quite sure my wife probably appreciates, because I feel like I'm calmer to a certain degree, and allowing me just to be more self-aware as well, right? Conversations, how I speak to my wife. One of the things that, with being a girl dad, that I always try to recognize is that as a large man, that's 6'5", 250 pounds. Yeah, 6'5". I was on that D line, so, but I know that, the 9's going to be sitting next to me on the porch when I meet their first boyfriend.
Right.
The size, the intimidation factor will be there. But I know that will only go so far.
True.
Right? Because at the end of the day, they're going to make their own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I have to set that bar so high
Mm-hmm.
so that way, and treat their mother like the queen that she is.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they understand that anything outside of that is unacceptable.
Mm.
So, like for me being a
Setting the
girl
standard.
dad, it's just a lot of things that came as a father that I didn't realize that would come, but
Mm.
it's taught me a lot of different lessons.
So you said something about being the protector, and when I became a father, I've been told be a protector,
Yeah.
and protection is more than just physical protection.
Yeah.
And with that, do you have anything to say about outside of physical protection? How do you protect your daughters? Is it their mental? Is it their confidence? If is it like, what does that mean to you? Like
Yeah.
protection.
That's a really good question, actually. You know, protection, it does mean a lot of different things just outside of the physical. It's, protecting, their innocence.
Mm,
How do you protect a child's innocence in a world which is so sexualized,
that's real.
right? Where every movie, every cartoon, every show, every commercial, I mean, you walk around, it's summertime now and girls are half dressed. And, even before here, Kelly was arguing with Carissa about she was wanting to wear a crop top
Oh no, we
versus,
ain't doing
and it's
that.
just like, Kelly is like, no, like, and it's just so, even at 6,
Yeah.
it's hard to protect that innocence.
Hmm.
And trying to do so, it's frustrating just
Hmm.
because you see how fast they're growing up
Hmm.
and how quickly it's happening. And it's like you blink a couple of times and, all of a sudden, they're, talking to you in different ways. And so that's a really solid question, honestly, brother, that I never really thought about until now.
Yeah,
So,
no, even with that, like you talked about, your kids are getting older. They're seeing the world differently.
yeah.
They're asking different questions.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's that in the book of fatherhood? How do I answer that
Man,
question?
right? I mean, honestly, like
Sometimes you don't
really,
got the answer.
we just need to write. I think that between all of us here, I think that we need to come up with a manual. They always say that, there's no manual. Well, I think we need to create our own manual. I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah. So, and like I said, man, we have developed a good relationship,
Yeah,
behind the camera
of
and
course.
some of the things that we're trying to do. And knowing your story and knowing all these things about you throughout all the things that you've been through, being a husband, being a father, what has been some of your proudest moments being in those two roles?
Yeah. So proudest moment is just um the the witnessing of my children being born.
Mm,
That moment I'll never forget.
mm-hmm,
I told my wife very, very in the beginning of us knowing that we were, pregnant, that I wasn't going to go south of the border. I was like, I'm not witnessing, I can't see
uh,
anything. And then, but in the moment, I seen my first daughter, being born, and it's just such an incredible experience when you see that they're okay,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
when you know all the things that could go wrong, the different types of things that, they could be missing limbs, they could have all types of, you know syndromes that
mm-hmm.
happen. And knowing that she was healthy and
Mm-hmm.
that my wife was healthy and that they
Yes.
were okay, I tell you, I cried like a little baby. And it was all about gratitude.
Yes.
It was so much gratitude and thanks that I just could not be prouder in that moment to
That's
be able
awesome.
to see that I helped my wife to get to that point, to that third trimester, and being able to have a healthy child. Like that was probably one of the proudest moments of my entire life.
And I always say, man, that's magic in real life, birthing a child, 9 months that the kid's in the womb and for it, to do his thing
Yeah.
and give life. And it's like, wow, that happened.
Look, and I got to say this too, and I got to make sure everybody knows this, that, in the world of superheroes,
Hmm.
that, Marvel and DC, they're the biggest things. I have a real life superhero because my wife
That's
did
real.
that without any epidural, without any medication. She did
Wow.
that all naturally,
Wow.
all by herself. She chose to do that.
Wow.
So like I have a real life superhero that I live with because my wife birthed out both of our children that way. So I got
Shout
a
out to
chance to
her,
see,
man.
that 2 times. So yeah,
Man,
so
I don't
she's
think I could do that, man.
I couldn't either.
Man.
Look, that couldn't be me either, bro. So like, hey, so I just got to make sure I shout out my baby,
Yeah.
because she's the real superhero on that
So one
one.
thing y'all realize about Brent, his love language is words of affirmation. So as we're developing our relationship and friendship and brotherhood, this dude will give all these words. I'm like, bro, man, chill. But I'm beginning to get comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Because as men, we should give those words. And not feel like, oh, you know what I mean? How we do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be like you, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, receive that.
Yeah.
So I receive your words of affirmation, love language.
Amen. I'm glad that you're finally getting comfortable. I know that you wince and you're just like, no, I want to hear it. But it's true. I think that for a lot of us men, that we grow up and we don't hear those things.
That's real.
I didn't grow up being told you were great or that, you can do it or that, you're going to be something great one day. You're going to be, you're going to be a world changer. Like I didn't hear that. So I think it was just kind of a natural thing for me to be able to gravitate towards and ultimately not even just with my brothers, because one of the things that I say is that I say what I mean and I mean what I say. I don't just blow smoke, just to say it. Like if I say it, it's because I mean it.
Yeah.
And with my children, I do the same thing.
That's awesome.
With those girls and trying to protect them, going back to that, protecting them by understanding that who they are, making sure that they understand their words of affirmations, that they're strong, they're intelligent, they can listen, right? They're world changers, right? They're beautiful, not just by what was on the outside, but also as what's on the inside.
That's
so
real.
Words of affirmations, I think, is really important, not just as fathers, but as men, as brothers, right? Like to our wives, to our girls, right? It's just so important. So I'm glad that you're finally receiving that, brother. I'm very grateful because I mean it, man.
And I try to give it back.
There you go. You do.
So you talked about, some of the most proud moments.
Yeah.
Have you had any challenges being a father or even being a husband?
Every day.
Wasn't expecting that one.
Look, because that's just the reality of it, right? We have so many things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, right? Being an entrepreneur. How do I deal and balance that? How do I deal with being a husband when I didn't really see it being modeled? My wife and I, we talk about often that between both of our families, and we have rather large families, we only had 3 couples between the 2 of us of marriages that we could say that were successful.
Wow.
3.
Wow.
Out of all the aunts, uncles, cousins, et cetera, 3 relationships.
Wow.
So I'd never seen it being modeled.
That's real.
Right? I didn't have a dad growing up. So therefore, how can I model what I never had, right? I was just talking to, one of my new friends out there, and I had someone ask me, what is your definition of Black success? And I told them, and I kind of felt stupid saying this, but this was a very real moment that really gave me clarity. And I said, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince was my definition of success.
Wow.
Because he was the only one that looked like me, that had this big house, lived in Beverly Hills, or Bel Air, I should say. Sorry for all those Fresh Prince fanatics out there. I apologize.
They're gonna cancel you,
Bel Air. He provided an atmosphere that was comfortable for his family, for them to grow up, to have a college education. So like, that was something that for me, I seen it on TV. I didn't see it in real life. So like, when it comes to the challenges, it's when you haven't seen it being modeled until you're older, trying to then feel like you're playing catch up all the time, because life is life. Let's just be real here. Right. So like, juggling all these different things while also being a man of color in this world, trying to compartmentalize entrepreneurship, fatherhood, husband, brothers, family. It's so many different aspects that we're juggling. And oftentimes it almost seems like something is naturally going to fall to the ground. So like, it's one of them things where I think every day is a learning lesson. I'm gonna shout out my grandmother, rest in peace. She was like my best friend, but she gave me a quote that I'll never forget.
Hmm.
And she said, "If you don't learn something every day, then it's a waste of a day."
Ooh.
And that stuck with me. So even in our failures, or specifically my failures,
Hmm.
I learned, okay, well, I should probably do this next time versus doing that.
Hmm.
And, so every day it is a struggle. Not that I would ever trade it in for anything,
Hmm.
because diamonds don't become diamonds without that intense heat and that intense pressure.
Right.
And that's what I feel like I'm going through.
Oh man, and you're wearing it well, but
Thank
you're
you, brother.
wearing it well,
I appreciate that.
And I know we talk about this, offline a lot. It's just very transparent. Like, hey, yeah, I'm dealing with this,
Yeah.
and I definitely appreciate that about our brotherhood.
Yeah,
So
most certainly.
so all these things, all these seasons, all these things you've been through, what legacy you want to leave behind?
So the biggest legacy that I would love to be able to leave behind is a legacy that would be beyond 7 generations.
7 generations.
The reason why I say seven is because, number one, that's like the number of completion.
Okay.
And two is that I actually at one point was able to say that my grandmother's grandmother was still alive.
Mm,
So think about that. So my great great grandmother was still alive, and she almost saw 6 generations of her own kids.
wow.
So, like, at the end of the day, seven is that one generation that most of us will never get a chance to see.
True.
So, being able to leave behind a legacy of kids that I will never get a chance to see, right? Planting those seeds so that way my family will get a chance to reap the harvest
Hmm.
that I've worked so hard on this earth here now, that they'll be able to see. Whether that may be on Mars, Saturn, I don't know, wherever that may be at, I just want to make sure that my legacy is beyond what I can even see after I'm long gone.
That's dope. 7 generations.
7 generations, brother. That's what I want to leave behind.
I respect that.
Yeah.
And you're on the path of doing that too.
My God. So are you?
Hey,
Hey, documentation, right? This recording, this is part of that,
you're
right?
right.
One day
First,
they're going to look back and say, "Oh, look at my dad. Look at that YouTube channel that he was creating. Like, look at what he was doing over there." And I'll be like, "Yeah, I was part of that. That one episode. I was there. I
that's
was there
dope. That's
talking about fatherhood."
that's dope.
Yeah.
Fatherhood's a beautiful thing.
It
Beautiful
is. It
thing.
is. If you let it be. If
Yeah.
you let it, because I think that we can get so overwhelmed with, correction,
Hmm.
right? Trying to find that balance of, Daryl and I were having a great conversation of exposure versus, spoiling our children,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Like, how do we give them the experiences that we didn't have, while also not taking away some of those experiences of the character that it helped create us into
true.
what we are,
True.
who we are right now. So,
Yeah.
like, that balance,
It's hard.
it's hard.
It's hard
It is
because
hard.
my daughter is spoiled, and it's because of me. And I'm definitely, honest about that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a balance.
Look, you and I both.
It's like, how did you get this way? And I'm like,
Oh
looking at
man.
myself.
Look, looking in that mirror is the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
It is the hardest thing to do, but it's a necessary thing.
Yeah.
So,
So with that, what advice, your parting words, your last words,
yeah.
what advice would you give to new dads? I know we have a new dad that we share friendship
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
What advice would you give him or any other dads that are new dads, wanting to be dads and all of that stuff?
Yeah. That's a really important question. I appreciate that. So one of the things that I try to do is, when I see a dad with an older daughter, I always ask them, I'm like, what's a piece of advice that you would give me?
Mm-hmm.
And overwhelmingly, it's always the same thing. And that is to take it day by day,
Mm-hmm.
hour by hour, second by second.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever wish time away.
Mm-hmm.
Stay present in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
because one day you're going to look back and you're going to miss the runny noses. You're going to miss the tantrums. You're going to miss the house being dirty.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to miss the nose. You're going to miss all these different things. So that's the one advice that I would say that I'd want any dad or a new dad to really leave with is stay present in the moment. Don't look, and I understand that, we got to work and, we're often, glued to our phones or our emails, technology. But take a step back and to be able just to enjoy laughing, crying, spending quality time with your kids because tomorrow's not promised.
That's real.
We never know when our last breath will be.
Mm-hmm.
And I always heard this saying that I don't know how true this is, but they say that when you die, one of the last things that you think of is your kids. And I can imagine that to be true because your kids are just so important. They are the extension of you, right? They are your legacy. So therefore, make sure that you spend time and you take that time to make sure that you're present in the moment with them at all times.
I love that. And that presence is, you got to have it. You know what I mean? Got to have it. So thank you for coming on the show, brother.
It's an honor, brother.
As you say, we're documenting this and we're going to look at this years from now.
Right.
We'll be all gray and old and stuff. But man, thank you for coming on the show, brother. And that's it, y'all. See you.